There are organizations out there whose sole purpose is to look at society with a broader scope and figure out ways to break it down, and destroy it. Thus, when the reality hits you, it should make you want to know more, but instead you turn your back on the facts and pretend as if it doesn't exist, when it does. Remember, just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean they are going to stop what they're doing to pacify you, because they're not. Don't fool yourselves. And not only the Beatles, but new words like cool, rock, and teenager, which didn't even exist until the Beatles popped up on the scene. Compliments of Tavistock Institute for Human Relations, which was a part of a specific code of words. Nowadays listen to the children speak. Listen also to their slang. It all started way back then. It worked. Our children can't even speak anymore. They did this because they knew that wherever the Beatles went, the people there would accept drugs, the Beatles, and anything else that came along with it. With them you got 1. The Who, 2. Rolling Stones, 3. Blood, Sweat and Tears, 4. The Grateful Dead, 5. The Animals, 6. Queen, 7. Devo, 8. Moma Last and 9. Kiss. From this you went from rock and roll, to just rock, to metal, to heavy metal, to slam dancing. The Nubians followed from jazz, to rhythm and blues, to rock and roll, to doo-wops, to hustle, to bus stop, to break dancing, to rap, to hardcore rap, to hip-hop, and to gangster rap. It was all well planned by the evil one. Now look at the children. They have become demons. They wanted certain groups of people to think that the Beatles were their favorite group. Through them, they introduced new hairstyles and a new style of dress. Nowadays look how the children dress, you see it worked. They wear their clothes backwards, their pants sag down to the point where they have regressed to walking like a Neanderthal, ape men. This is what he wants. Look at our Negroid women, the little Kims and the likes. Negroid women have taken off their clothes and are wearing sex on their collar, just like the beast. Look at what they are doing to our children. They set the trends in teen fashion, making sexually provocative clothing the in thing seen on entertainers, in movies, on television and in advertisements. In the article Close-Minded from the St. Louis Dispatch, writer Marvin Berkowitz discusses the new trend in teen clothing. It's hard to miss the trend in young girls' clothing. It's sexy, revealing, provocative. Skimpy, bare and tight are in and it is creating a stir. Schools, parents, the media are all taking notice. Underlying the controversy are sexuality, appropriateness, personal freedom, comfort, taste, control, etc. One side argues that such dress is inappropriate for kids. They conjure up images of John Benet Ramsey and Lolita picturing Bacchanalia, Armageddon, and the Second Fall of Rome. They point to statistics about sexually transmitted diseases and teen pregnancy. The devil knows who they are, their own nature. They can even identify the source and results of their devilishment, all of which is part of a carefully orchestrated plan. Now, back to Tavistock and the Beatles. Just as every other experiment, the Beatles would die out when the project was over, just like gang wars. Just look up information on the bug the beetle, which can be traced all the way back to Egypt where it was called the scarab. They did it to the best of us. They had you following any and everything. Then most of you wonder, how does the mentality of a people die? It dies because it is destroyed in a conscious effort by malevolent, disagreeable, demon beings whose sole intent is to disrupt the progression of any living being who is trying to progress. Those individuals are you, Negroids. Yet they continuously refer to you as African American, knowing that the name Africa comes from the root word al-Furaka, meaning the separation. The root word al-Furaka is written as Afriqiya by Arabs. Their intent was to do exactly what they did, invade our land, spread their false concepts of religion and divide us up against ourselves, blacks, Latinos, Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, etc., just to separate or manipulate you into thinking that you are different, or that you are special, or better than the rest. You are neither. You are all one and the same, children of the original Melaninite beings, the Elohim gods, judges, angels. These principalities in high places want to destroy any type of unity you may have built amongst yourselves, be it in education, politics, athletics, art, or music. The list can go on and on. They refuse to let anybody other than European people become a legacy. Sure, they'll let them into the Music Hall of Fame or the Actors-Actress Hall of Fame, but not one Negroid political leader has survived long enough to become an icon. What happens to them? They are either defamed or murdered. The word icon originally comes from the Latin icon, then into the Greek word icon, and is defined as an image. The Illustrated Heritage Dictionary defines icon as being in the likeness, and according to the American Heritage Dictionary they define icon as being, and I quote, one who is the object of great attention and devotion, an idol. Therefore, When I use the word icon to describe a Negroid person, I am referring to a person who has a certain image, an image that take Congressman Mel Reynolds for instance. They destroyed his positive image as a Negroid. He was accused of luring and having a sexual relationship with Beverly Hurd, at the time a 16-year-old minor, and former campaign worker. But they waited until she was 23 years old and he was incarcerated for 6 years. Now, make note that's 8 years of waiting to set him up. They take the time to publicize things such as this, just like when the United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was accused of a similar crime. Yet, they did not publicize the good things he did, such as voting to weaken the existing discriminatory voting laws in the Lawrence C. Presley versus the Ettaway City Commission case. Then they give incidents like Anita Hill accusing the Honorable Clarence Thomas of so-called sexual assault full media coverage, an accusation he was cleared of but not until all of his life was made public and he cried on national TV. They broke him first then said okay. He was also accused of being an Uncle Tom, one who helps the Canaanite and not the Negroid. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but what you refuse to accept is the fact that he has succeeded in what you call success. He is the only Negroid Supreme Court justice. We should at least respect his success. Don't help tear him down while they steadily try to. You'll just aid them in their deviousness to keep Negroids down. This is the very same thing they did with Iron Mike Tyson, World Boxing Council heavyweight champion of the world, before he was even accused of raping 18-year-old beauty contestant, Desiree Washington, even after finding out about her history of accusing boys in her own hometown of raping her and then later saying that she lied. The same Desiree, Desire, Washington who went to his hotel room at 2:30 a.m., on her own, and Mike Tyson was still sentenced to 6 years in the Indiana Youth Center. They even use our own Negroid women to destroy us. First, it was Robin Givens, his ex-wife, who not only took his name and smeared it across the media about assault and battery, she also helped to destroy what little dignity he had left. In newspapers across the country from the New York Times to the tabloids, you heard about Mike Tyson, who was 29 years old at the time. These principalities in high places, those that not only control the media, but those that want to see Negroids destroyed, have broken down a man before he even really learned what life was all about, and now they have him under the spell of the Mohammedanism religion, which is controlled by pale devils, the fake Arabs, who wouldn't dare let him marry one of their daughters. Still, I don't think he will give up. Mike, having been quoted as saying in the March 19, 1994 issue of Esquire magazine, written by Pete Hamill, stated, and I quote, "When you die, nothing matters but the dash," Tyson says abruptly, "On your tombstone, it says 1933 to 2025, or something like that. The only thing that matters is that dash. That dash is your life. How you live is your life. And were you happy with the way you lived it?" The human rights leader Rev. Jesse Jackson was involved in a sex scandal. Jackson fathered a daughter in an extramarital affair with Karen Stanford, the former head of Rainbow Push's Washington, D.C. bureau. However, all men do it, but because Reverend Jesse Jackson is a Negroid leader, they made it into a scandal, when there was no scandal. He had a daughter by another woman other than his wife who he was fully taking care of, and what? That's what they do, try to turn nothing into something. What's the difference between Mike Tyson, the Honorable Clarence Thomas who has earned the title Supreme Court Justice, and Reverend Jesse Jackson, a civil and human rights leader? Clarence Thomas, Mike Tyson and Reverend Jesse Jackson are the same, only different circumstances. The devil destroys the Negroid with lust, which is an act that stems from fornication. Now look at the Greek word for fornication under the Strong's Greek lexicon number 4202 is porneia, porneia being the same as pornography. This is what Satan, Shaitan, devil uses, through it he controls you. As it says in John 8:44 in part, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do." Lust, just look all around you. Everything you see has some form of pornography in it, from the music to the commercials, and America is the root. This is the only country where people from all walks of life, different races and cultures take off their traditional garb to put on tight clothes, short clothes, to no clothes at all. Satan, Shaitan, devil uses pornography, lust and sex to topple everything and everybody. You can just look at the media. Look at what they use to attack Negroid leaders every time. You will see in most all cases it is pornography, something in their sex life. Yeshua HaMashiach, Isa al-Masih, Jesus the Messiah Christ of 2000 years ago warned you in John 8:44. This is what Satan, Shaitan, devil does because he doesn't want his rule to end. And he doesn't want your rule as the true Negroid pure seed to begin. Nevertheless, as long as it is something that will destroy the image of a Negroid, you can rest assured, you'll see it several times a day. I am not saying that being accused of assault or assaulting a woman or any other living human being is okay. That's not what I am saying. What I am saying is these Nubian women are pawns in the game. Just like the case with Washington's Mayor Marion S. Barry Jr., he was on trial on charges of illegal drug use, conspiracy, and perjury and served 6 months in prison. Mayor Barry's former girlfriend Hazel Diane Rashida Moore was what the reporters called a star witness against him, being she was taking orders from the FBI authorities to aid them in setting up Marion Barry. They are being used to help destroy these brothers, one way or another. While playing the harlot, which is a prostitute, one who sells one's abilities, talent, or name for an unworthy purpose. They don't care if the things they say are facts or not, it's whether or not they can tear Negroid leaders down in the process, destroy them. I just hope after all of this is over, that what they did was worth it, for whatever reason. And we already know money is the reason. However, as said earlier, that will not redeem you, Isaiah 52:3. Then you have the former mayor of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley, who back in the late 80s was accused of accepting up to $90,000 in consulting fees from banks associated with the city. They waited until he was in his 70s, to launch these accusations after having served 21 years on the Los Angeles Police Department, and after becoming the first Nubian member of the city council, of which he served 5 terms and was the 4th Nubian to ever be elected mayor of a major city. Why wait until the man has lived his life, to try and destroy his character, tarnish his image? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they can't let you die an icon in the eyes of the public. A Negroid? Please, they'll die before they let that happen. Or die trying to destroy you. This is the same thing that happened to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when all of a sudden his right-hand man Reverend Ralph Abernathy, brought up that Dr. King had extramarital affairs, just to sell his book and make money. Even after this highly publicized story was proven to be untrue, it was swept under the rug. Not too many people know that all of the things Ralph Abernathy was saying were all lies. Look at Sammy Davis Jr., they accused him of having sexual relations with Linda Lovelace, who is a pornography star. Then they killed his livelihood. He had throat cancer and all his life he was dancing and singing, for them. He even became a fake Jew for them. The one thing he loved is the one thing they took away from him. I'm not saying they gave him throat cancer, but what a coincidence that the very thing that made him is the very thing that broke him, or is it? This is also Nat King Cole's and Billie Holiday's story, they used drugs to destroy them. From Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown, the godfather of soul, they wouldn't let them remain an icon in the eyes of the public. How could he, after being arrested for aggravated assault, failure to stop for police and a weapon violation? He couldn't, and they knew that. However, that has not stopped him. James Brown, the godfather of soul, gave away over 3,000 turkeys to the less fortunate in his hometown at his annual Thanksgiving turkey giveaway. As long as these people get fed, I feel better. That's most important, says Brown. Since 1993 AD, Brown had taken it upon himself to guarantee that not one single family in Augusta, GA, goes without a Thanksgiving turkey. How come this angelic deed didn't get media time? See how they only want to destroy our icons? You have to be aware of devils that are ruining any successful black person or people. But, if you pay close attention you can see the pattern. Don't you understand that if they let you become a success and die a success, then you are success? That's the way they judge their life. One by one you would become a positive image for Negroid children all over the world. They can't have that. They judge your children the same way, from the beginning of time until the end of time. One way or another these principalities in high places do not intend for Negroids to succeed. For the last 6,000 years you have been placed under the spell of Kingu, the spell of Leviathan, one of spiritual ignorance and racial blindness. However, your fathers the Anunnaki Elohim gods, judges, angels, sent you guidance. From such great teachers as Syed Mustafa Muhammad Al-Amin, as Syed Muhammad Ahmad Al-Mahdi, as Syed Al-Haadi Abdur Rahman Al-Mahdi, as Syed Isa Al-Haadi Al-Mahdi, Sheikh Daoud Ahmed Faisal, the Messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Muhammad Dus Ali, Nelson Mandela, Sir Marcus Moses Garvey, Jomo Kenyatta, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Supreme Commander, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Father Divine, Sweet Daddy Grace, Ben Ami Ben Israel Carter, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Allah Clarence 13X, Mahatma, Mohandas, K. Gandhi, Dr. Ben Jochanan, Dr. John Henrik Clark, Francis Cress Welsing, and the many Negroid leaders we didn't mention. Many of them sold out or just told lies when they got on top. However, they all tried to help in their own way. All of which have been subjected to slander or ridicule, and for what? For the sole purpose of trying to destroy them. Why? Because when you take a Negroid and place them in a position where they are educating people, uplifting the mentality of a people as a whole, the 4-letter word fear comes into play. They fear a rebirth of the elite few, the 144,000, spoken of in Revelation 4:7, which are the Negroid children of the Elohim gods, angels of the seed of Abram, Genesis 15, and heirs to the throne of the Elohim gods, through Yeshua HaMashiach, Tammuz. The psychology they use is to plant the images, lies, myths, and fictitious stories into the minds of our children while they are young, so it can be almost impossible to erase it from their conscious and subconscious minds. They know that once Negroid children start seeing themselves and people who look like themselves become successful or rise up, they will begin to idolize that person or persons and make a difference in their own lives. The children will stop worshipping their image, the image of the beast, and that is something that the beast just can't allow to happen. So their whole plan is to get the children to stomp out the positive Negroid role models and put in their negative Negroid role models whom they use as tokens. They thought they succeeded when they tried to destroy the lives of such people as W.E.B. Du Bois, Ralph Abernathy, Dick Gregory, Huey P. Newton, Maya Angelou, Arthur Eldridge, Bobby Seale, Satchel Paige, James Baldwin, Jackie Robinson, Don King, James B. Walker, Ossie Davis, Angela Davis, Leroy Jones, Dr. Helen G. Edmonds, Judge James B. Parsons, Judge James L. Watson, Judge Constance Baker Motley, Judge Thurgood Marshall, Judge William Hastie, Hayward Henry, Betty Shabazz, Roy Innes, Jesse Jackson, Langston Hughes, Terry McMillian, Brenda Dash, Alex Haley, Donald Goines, Madam C.J. Walker, Octavia Butler, and Gwendolyn Brooks. But they never let you forget things like Rosa Parks, poor, beaten and robbed, Muhammad Ali, Parkinson's disease, Richard Pryor, drugs, alcohol, abusive husband, multiple sclerosis, Marion Barry, drugs, jailed, Magic Johnson, HIV positive, Whitney Houston, lesbianism, marital problems, overdosing on diet pills, love affair with Arsenio Hall, cocaine addiction, Billie Holiday, overdosed on drugs, Arthur Ashe, died of AIDS, Eazy-E, died of AIDS, Phyllis Hyman, died of drug overdose, suicide, Robin Harris, overdosed on drugs, Sammy Davis Jr., homosexual, social pornography, James Brown, jailed, abusive husband, Flip Wilson, homosexuality, Bill Cosby, daughter cocaine addict, allegations of marital infidelity, rape, Nat King Cole, had extramarital affairs, Natalie Cole, drug abuse, nervous breakdown, Tina Turner, abused wife by Ike Turner, Arthur Mitchell, homosexual, Todd Bridges, drugs, Dennis Rodman, homosexuality, Arsenio Hall, homosexuality, drugs, Tupac Shakur, rape, Eddie Murphy, homosexuality, and they say he stole the script of Coming to America, Johnny Mathis, homosexuality, Vanessa Williams, lesbianism, pornographic photographs, Josephine Baker, drugs, Sam Cooke, domestic disputes, Marvin Gaye, killed by his own father, Snoop Dogg, drugs, rape, murder, Teddy Pendergrass, drinking, paralyzed, Mary J. Blige, drugs, lesbianism, Darryl Strawberry, tax evasion, abusive husband, Oprah Winfrey, drugs, molested as a child, Red Fox, poor by tax evasion, Donny Hathaway, it is said he committed suicide, Dr. Joyce Elders, fired, Mike Tyson, rape, jailed, Bob Marley died from brain damage from using marijuana, overdosed on drugs and cancer, Alvin Ailey, died of AIDS, Bobby Brown, marital problems with Whitney Houston, arrested, drugs, Medgar Evers, killed by Amorites, Ben Vereen, homosexuality, and Michael Jackson, child molestation. That's what they say, true or false? All of these people stand accused in the public eye, whether they are innocent or guilty of what they are accused of. The point is, their names and negative publicity surrounding the events of their lives have gained more attention in the media than the Super Bowl, the war in Iraq, or even the death of President Kennedy. Ask yourselves why? Why did the O.J. Simpson case, and the charges against Michael Jackson, get more attention and are publicized more than the death of President Kennedy, the budget deficit, the national, United States, debt, and termination of welfare? You should ask, why is there welfare? That's what should be on the news. Post a job list for our children who are graduating from universities and colleges, teaching. Stop addressing killings, rapes, and robberies on television and they will go down. Or is it that the release of the truth about the death of Kennedy was due to be released in the exact time period as these events? Don't forget the evil reptilians and their helpers don't want you to know the truth. And what will happen to other Negroids whose character has not been assassinated? Know that it is just a matter of time before they try to get their grip into the lives of all Negroids who tried to make a difference. And don't think they won't use your own brothers and sisters against you, even your mother and your father. Yes, your own kind will deliver you up to Satan, devil, and think that they are doing the Elohim's will. They will make up lies on me as well. That's what they do. That's their way, but not when it comes to them.